Hey guys, very depressed. Ryan Wakefield here with your social media tip of the week. Depressed because the Kansas City Chiefs, and I might add the Dallas Cowboys, are out of the playoffs. So coming to you from a very foggy, very depressed, it's like the whole city is depressed, Kansas City. But got good news, got a great tip of the week for you this week, and it's very simple. It's adding captions to your video. And this is really important. Let me show you how easy it is to do, and then let me explain on the back end why it's so important to do. So let's jump in here. Let's take an example. So I highly recommend, if you're not on it yet, get your church on a business.facebook.com account. You can go to business.facebook.com/overview. Start there. But it seems like when they roll out features like they've started to with live video from a desktop, they roll it out to business.facebook.com accounts. At least that's what we're seeing. So I'm going to go there, going to go to my videos tab. So this is for the church here, and I'm going to pull up a video here. So you can see there's no captioning on this video by default. And you used to have to maybe hire somebody out to transcribe it. If you were reading off a teleprompter, then you could take that file that's perfect, export it as an RTF file, which I think you can do right out of like Word or text edit, and then upload it, it's great. A lot of us have been doing that for years over like on the YouTube side, but now Facebook has added a feature a lot like YouTube has added. If you go under Edit, Post, you can see here, and then you're going to go under this Captions tab. And I'll add here, this goes back, so you can even go back to your videos, even I think all the way back to like May-ish of 2016. And look at this, it used to just be this upload SRT file. Now you've got this generate, this magic wand generate. And this is what it's going to do. It's going to pop in here, and I didn't do any of this. It's guessing here. And so you can hit play.
Hi everybody.
Yep, that's right. You can just,
my name's Chris.
So you can kind of get the idea. You can go a quick through here. My name is Zach, and look at this. We just want to invite you to the worst prayer night. So you're going to want to spot check this, because this is not the worst prayer night. It's the worship.
We'd just like to invite you to the worship and prayer night tonight.
Although it does sound like you said worst, Chris. But so you come in here, worship and prayer night. You wouldn't even have to do this if you didn't want to. But probably, you know, if you have time, this would also be a great volunteer opportunity for your church, is to get somebody. You know, most of the churches I've worked with have had people that love to come in during the week and just help the church. Maybe they're retired, and they'd sit down and just kind of do this as a volunteer opportunity for the church. So I'm just going to do a quick spot check through here as you kind of get the point. And I think really this would all you would need to do. And then once you're done, you just click Save to Video, and then click Save Your Video. And then here we go. When you hit play,
my name is Zach. And we just like
let's do a refresh here. See how long this takes. See if it's almost instantaneous here.
Hi everybody.
Yep, there you go.
Chris. My name is Zach.
And you have your captions there. So let me just explain now, why is this so important? So maybe you already know, and that's it. Take this and run. Make sure everybody in your church who's working on your social media knows this. Highly recommend other channels. Anytime you can add captions, do it. It's getting even more and more important. You know, for search engine optimization, it's been the case for years, because search engines can't necessarily see what's in your video, but if you add captions, now that becomes searchable for them. So it's been a part of the strategy for years. We talk a lot about that in Church Marketing University, and sometimes that kind of comes and goes, and who knows what that's going to be in the future. But if you start adding your captions as soon as you can, or even if you go back, now you're just kind of setting the stage for all that content to become searchable, not only by search engines, but by you. You know, by your social media accounts in the future. Again, maybe you're doing this with your sermons or your live streaming on Facebook. Now people can type in maybe a passage of the Bible and can start pulling up videos where you talk about that. So I'm just wanting you to think about that. Maybe they can do that now. Maybe it's something that is enabled in the road down the future. Maybe you launch an app and you've done all this hard work, and so now all that content becomes searchable. All right, and the second reason is this. Check out this stat by Cisco that video is going to consume 79% of internet traffic by 2020. I mean, video, you've already seen this, you know this, the rise of video on social media and on the internet is just huge. So video is something I've been telling pastors for years, especially if you want to connect with that next generation, you've got to take it seriously. So anything you can do to start optimizing your videos for your church is going to be to your advantage. The next is the majority of people viewing your video on Facebook, like especially in their Facebook mobile app, are doing so without sound. Most people are sitting there with no sound on. Maybe they're watching the game. Maybe they're even at work. Maybe they're at lunch, and they're just scrolling through their newsfeed. So if they come across your video and it's got no sound, oftentimes there's not as much incentive to click it if you don't have captions. In fact, another study said that, I think it was here, 41% of videos are basically meaningless without sound. That's what one study found. So if your video doesn't have captions, then essentially it could become noise in your newsfeed. And I find myself personally, when I see captions, it gives me a little bit of hook to be like, oh, what is that video about? So just adding captions can draw in your audience and give them more of a chance to consume that content, especially if the sound is not on. Another study here by Facebook found that captioning a video increases average video view time by 12%. I've seen, that's the kind of the official one from Facebook. I've seen studies that would say from organizations that started doing this as part of their strategy, and their engagement, their reaction shares, comments went up hundreds of percents on their video. So I think it's context specific. So I think you'll find that certain videos, just by adding captions, because of the nature of the video, will increase your engagement way up. So, but on average, you can expect this tip alone to give you 12% an increase in engagement. And then finally, the other reason why you should consider doing this is essentially just the user experience, whether it's for the hearing impaired or the tip that I just pointed out as far as people viewing without sound, is you're saying, hey, we care about the user experience. We're going to be thoughtful about how the user is engaging our content. And when you do that, you not only win with your audience, but you win with the platform. And here's the thing, is that these platforms are rewarding companies, businesses, organizations, churches who have good communication practices, who are thoughtful about their audience. You see this with Google, and if your church is not optimized for a mobile device on your website, then you're getting punished, because Google wants the people searching on their platform to have a good experience. So they're sending traffic to websites that they know our users are going to have a good experience here. That's why we all keep going back to Google. So it's not only a best practice to be thoughtful about your audience, but it's also the platforms. If you're not thoughtful, they're going to say, hey, we're not going to send traffic your way. So by being thoughtful, your audience is going to love you, and the platform is going to love you, and that's going to increase your engagement both now and down the road. Now, let me just explain how this kind of works, because if you take this seriously and do this tip, think about it. Your engagement on average, according to Facebook, is going to go up 12%. Now, what happens if you continue to implement the tips week after week after week? I mean, let's say ranging from 5% to 20%, each tip, even 1%, but you do that 52 times a year. Think of the impact that could have. I was working with a church just this last week and giving them some tips on how to write their copy better, stuff that we talk about again in Church Marketing University. And they tried it out the next day, and I got a text message. You're like, oh my word, this really works. Our engagement went up 3 times, 300%, because of how they started to phrase their copy. So stay tuned. It'll be another tip of the week coming up. The same church started rolling out some messaging around the see first feature that Facebook does. And I'm telling you, down the road, they're going to get a huge impact, a huge benefit to doing that. Those were just 2 of the last couple tips that we've done. Now, a church that we are part of here in Kansas City, Summit Park Church, we did our first Facebook Live service, a service designed specifically and only on Facebook Live. I was blown away. It reached 350,000 news feeds in the first 24 hours. 350,000 news feeds. And that goes back to the last tip of the week we did as far as being an early adopter with social media features and the impact that that can have. It's going to be the time with the lowest cost and the time with the highest impact. So my point is this. Do these tips of the weeks every week and see the compounding impact and influence you will start to have on social media for your church. That's what churches that are doing this really well have done. Little improvements time and time again. So if you're watching this and maybe you don't run the church's account, tag the people that do. If you're watching this, maybe your church has somebody that helps you with videos on social media, tag that person in the comments, send them a link. Make sure that you guys hit follow on the Social Church Facebook page, click on the following button, and then click see first so you get this tip every single week. We've got some exciting things coming up, relaunching the Social Church website here in the next couple weeks. We're going to give you an opportunity to get these tips right into your inbox along with some other really cool resources. So you're going to want to stay tuned. So that's all I have for you this week. We'll see you next week on your Social Church Tip of the Week.